Hello, Real Double Dose channel family. My name is Caronlina, and today I'm doing something I never thought I would have the courage to do. I'm stepping into a guest pop-up segment, not because I have everything figured out, not because I've arrived, but because I remember what it felt like to sit where you might be sitting right now. Quietly questioning yourself. Quietly wondering if your story even matters. Quietly feeling that pull inside that says, there's more in you, but not knowing what to do with it. I didn't grow up believing I had authority. I grew up believing I had to earn space, and there is a difference. Authority is something that flows from identity. Earning space is something you do when you're afraid to be seen. For years, I minimized myself in rooms. I would water down my ideas so no one felt uncomfortable. I would shrink my voice so I wouldn't be labeled too much. I would hold back insight because I didn't want to outshine anyone. And the truth is, it wasn't humility. It was fear. I remember the first time I stumbled across Real Double Dose channel. I wasn't even looking for transformation content. I was scrolling, distracted, half numb from my own overthinking. And something in the tone, something in the grounded, God-centered conversation pulled me in. It wasn't loud motivation. It wasn't hype. It was alignment. That was the word that kept echoing. Alignment. I realized I had been building a life around approval instead of alignment. Approval says, do they like me? Alignment says, is this who I truly am? Approval says, will this make me accepted? Alignment says, is this what I was created for? There was a particular episode that changed me. It talked about internal authority, not titles, not followers, not platforms, but internal authority. The kind that doesn't need applause to exist. The kind that is rooted in who God says you are, not what your past mistakes try to whisper about you. And I had to confront something uncomfortable. I had talent. I had experience. I had a story. But I did not believe I was worthy of impact. That realization shook me. Because I realized I was asking God for expansion while still negotiating my worth. I wanted doors to open, but I was afraid to walk through them. I wanted influence, but I was afraid to be visible. I wanted purpose, but I was clinging to old narratives. Real Double Dose channel didn't magically change my life overnight. What it did was hold up a mirror. It asked questions that were uncomfortable but necessary. Where are you shrinking? Where are you playing safe? Where are you hiding behind, waiting for the right time? Where are you using your past as a shield instead of fuel? I had drama inside me. Not public drama, not loud chaos, internal drama. The kind that shows up as self-doubt when you're about to speak. The kind that shows up as comparison when someone else is thriving. The kind that shows up as procrastination when you know you're called to step forward. And I had to realize something powerful. Self-worth is not something you feel first. It is something you decide first. The feelings follow. I kept waiting to feel confident before acting. But confidence doesn't arrive before obedience. It grows because of obedience. There was a moment when I considered applying to share my story through Story 2 Blessings, and I almost talked myself out of it. I thought, who am I to share? I thought, my story isn't dramatic enough. I thought, what if people judge me? But here's what I learned. Silence protects comfort. Speaking activates purpose. I decided to speak. Not because I felt ready, but because I felt called. And the response was not what I expected. People reached out. Not because I was perfect, not because I was polished, but because I was honest. Honesty carries authority. Authenticity carries weight. When I began leaning into authority positioning, not in arrogance, not in ego, but in clarity, something shifted inside of me. I stopped introducing myself with hesitation. I stopped qualifying my ideas with disclaimers. I stopped apologizing for taking up space. Authority is not dominance. Authority is grounded certainty. It is the quiet knowing that you have something to offer because it was placed in you intentionally. There is someone listening to this right now who is still negotiating their identity with their past. You think because you struggled, you are disqualified. You think because you made mistakes, you are less credible. You think because you were overlooked, you are less valuable. But let me tell you something deeply rooted and true. Your past is not your permission slip. Your alignment is. I had to heal in layers, not dramatically, not publicly, quietly, through prayer, through journaling, through facing the parts of myself I avoided. Healing was not about erasing what happened. It was about removing its authority over me. Amen. There is a difference between remembering pain and living inside of it. And once I stepped out of living inside it, I began to see purpose differently. Purpose is not a spotlight. Purpose is responsibility. Responsibility to steward your gifts. Responsibility to refine your message. Responsibility to speak when silence would be easier. I began to understand why platforms like Authority Spotlight exist. It isn't about fame. It's about positioning. It's about learning to carry your message with clarity. It's about understanding that if you don't tell your story, someone else will define it for you. And that realization changed everything. There are people right now waiting for someone like you to articulate what they feel but cannot say. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not too much. You are becoming. Becoming requires friction. Becoming requires surrender. Becoming requires letting go of the old version of yourself that felt safer but smaller. I won't pretend stepping into visibility was comfortable. There were nights I questioned myself. There were moments I wondered if I was overstepping. But every time I leaned back into alignment, there was peace. And peace is the evidence. If you are constantly seeking approval, there will never be peace. If you are aligned with your calling, there will be steadiness even when it stretches you. Real Double Dose Channel did not just give me content, it gave me clarity. Clarity about my voice, clarity about my value, clarity about my responsibility. And now I am speaking to you as someone who once doubted herself deeply. If you are considering sharing your story through Story 2 Blessings, do it. If you are considering stepping into Authority Spotlight, do it. If you are considering finally saying yes to the version of yourself that you keep postponing, do it. Not because it's trendy, not because it's impressive, but because obedience to your purpose will always outlast comfort. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be honest. You do not need to be the loudest. You need to be aligned. You do not need external validation. You need internal conviction. When I look back at the Caronlina who hesitated, I don't judge her. I understand her. She was protecting herself from risk. But protection can become prison if you're not careful. And some of you are not stuck. You are safe. There is a difference. Safe keeps you small. Aligned stretches you into growth. So here is my invitation to you, RDDC family. Stop asking if you're ready. Start asking if you're willing. Willing to grow. Willing to heal. Willing to be seen. Willing to steward your voice. God does not waste stories. He refines them. He repurposes them. He redeems them. Your authority is not something you achieve after you prove yourself. It is something you activate when you trust who you were created to be. And if my journey has taught me anything, it is this. The moment you stop negotiating your worth is the moment your impact begins to multiply. So take the step. Share the story. Apply for the spotlight. Lean into the alignment. Because someone is waiting for the version of you that stops shrinking. This is Caronlina, and I am no longer shrinking, and neither should you. I and we all hope to hear your message, triumphs, journey, ups and downs, twists and turns, upliftment, and more. No matter what it is, the world is waiting to hear you. God bless every one of you, and I'll see you on the flip side as always.